Before I call the meeting to order, would like to review the guidelines for addressing Lexington City Council. Public comments are always welcome, and I invite you to sign up if you wish to speak tonight. I will recognize those signed up during the citizens' remarks section of the council's agenda. Citizens who wish to speak to council but neglect to sign up in advance may be permitted, to address the council during citizens' remarks and comments agenda item, but only at the discretion of the mayor. When speaking to the city council, I ask that these guidelines be followed. Once recognized to speak, please come forward, stand at the podium, and for the record, state your name and if you are a resident of Lexington, Virginia. If you want to be contacted after this meeting, please provide your contact information to the clerk. Please make your comments to the council as a whole and do not engage the audience. Please be brief, state your position, and provide facts. Please provide written statements and/or supporting materials to the clerk for distribution to the council and the city manager. Debate is prohibited. This is a time for you to share your thoughts and ideas with your city council. And ask that you please speak clearly as we want to hear what you have to say. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes, and individuals may not yield their allotted time to another person. If you represent a group, 5 minutes are allotted, and you are invited to identify other members of your group who are in attendance. Council or mayor may allow exceptions to these guidelines at their discretion. I remind us all that meetings of the city council are formal proceedings and are recorded. And with that, I would like to call the meeting to order. And not on your agenda is remind me the process for allowing Mr. Driscoll to participate virtually.
He needs to identify from where he is participating and the reason, his personal reason for needing to attend remotely. Then we would need a motion and a second and a vote to permit him to do so.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Driscoll, welcome from where?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and fellow city councilors. I am in Newfield, New York.
Hang on just a second. Your volume in here
Is
we
low.
can barely hear you.
Okay.
Say hello, John.
Hello, testing, testing, testing.
Perfect.
Testing.
Fire away. You're all clear now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm in Newfield, New York. As many of you know, I've been helping my brother who has Alzheimer's. And as his power of attorney, I'm here to hopefully close on his house sale tomorrow. So I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight in person.
Terrific. Thank you. I welcome council's consideration to allow John to meet with us virtually from Newfield, New York.
I make a motion that we allow John Driscoll to join council's meeting remotely.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Betts?
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler?
Aye.
Ms. Strawn?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll?
Aye.
And Ms. Alexander? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And glad that we have this opportunity so that we can support family and get things taken care of.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, if you all will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Next item is consideration of the agenda. I'm not aware of any modifications or changes. Unless council objects, we will approve the agenda as presented. It is approved. Next item are proclamations. Proclamation of Arbor Day in Lexington, Virginia. And I'll invite up Ray Ehrlich to accept this proclamation. For those listening at home, Ray, welcome. Glad you're here, and thank you for being our arborist. This is a proclamation establishing April 24, 2026 as Arbor Day in Lexington, Virginia. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling bills, moderate the temperature, clean the air, sequester carbon, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees planted along streams improve water quality and assist with flood control. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Now, therefore, as mayor of Lexington, I do hereby proclaim Friday, April 24, 2026 as Arbor Day in the city of Lexington. And I urge all citizens to join in Arbor Day activities and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I encourage all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Given under my hand and seal of the city of Lexington, the 16th day of April, the year of our Lord, 2026. Ray, thank you for working as our arborist and leading the charge. And I'll invite you after Jen gets our picture to, share a few words about April 24th. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so April 24th is Arbor Day. The city's hosting a tree planting event from 9 to 11 at Boots Park, which is basically a vacant lot about an acre to an acre and a half, located off of Maury Street near the intersection of Diamond Street. There's be plenty of signage. We're gonna be planting 5 native variety trees. So yeah, if you guys are available, come on out and we'll give you a shovel.
Great block. Good at it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank
Ray,
you.
thanks for being here.
No problem.
Thanks for bringing your bodyguard. Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Our presentation this evening, Mr. Wilson's not able to be with us, but we look forward to his future presentations and greatly appreciate the extensive work that he does in the community with the Rockbridge Historical Society and keeping us educated and entertained. The next item, public hearings, 6.1 Ordinance 2026-05 to amend the Lexington zoning ordinance. I'll call on Arnie to introduce this.
Good evening, everyone. We have for your consideration this evening an ordinance amendment to the zoning ordinance to delete a requirement, one of the 4 requirements we have for townhouses. Townhouses are required to front on or be accessed by a public street, and when we don't have a strict gridded street pattern, that creates a less efficient use of parcels. Then we have a limited number of parcels anyway left over for infill and to be developed. Another limitation is our adherence to VDOT standards for public streets is a minimum of 50 feet of right of way and at least I believe a 30-foot wide pavement. And that, in staff's opinion, is excessive for accesses that can be provided privately to the rear section of townhouses. Planning Commission did hold a advertised public meeting, and they voted unanimously to delete the particular standard. And over on the bottom of page 3 of 8, at least for this portion of your packet, there are the 4 townhouse standards. The first one being no more than 8 townhouses shall be constructed contiguously. The second one has some facade requirements that they be sufficiently varied in their materials, design, and appearance. The third one that we're actually addressing is any townhouse shall front on or be accessed by a public street. The next one talks about how to administer or handle open space in a common area. So again, only 4 townhouse standards total. And the one that we're proposing to amend or to delete is specifically the one or item C, subsection C, for any townhouse to front on or be accessed by a public street. Staff does recommend the deletion of this particular requirement because, again, better utilization of property. And then the only other thing to add is we had public comment during the Planning Commission meeting. And you also have comments, written comments in your packet tonight from Michael Perry, who was not in favor of this particular proposal. And the last thing in your packet is a proposed or draft ordinance for your consideration. Happy to answer any questions.
When a street isn't 50 feet wide, is it possible to limit parking on at least one side of the street? And that's something that could be done potentially.
Correct. And that will also be done in the next step. So as we're in this entitlement process, all the way thinking about what requirements we have in comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance, and then site plan approval, and then building permit. So the site plan is where the life safety aspects and the widths of fire lanes, and if they propose a private street there where they want to have parking on one side, then the pavement has to be a certain width beyond that. And I think that's 28 feet minimum pavement width to have parking at least on one side.
And some of the streets that are 50 feet have parking on at least one or both sides. Is that right?
When I say 50 feet, that's the right of way minimum for the lowest level of local street, I think it's called. So the pavement typically is not 50 feet, but yes.
Thank you.
Other questions of the planning director?
I know not necessarily townhouses, but with Weatherburn, that's a subdivision, or it's 50 some units. And that's a one-way street now. That's not a 50-foot road. It's a private road. And then also, townhouses, I guess W knows third year housing is the majority of it is in the county, where that line goes, but obviously it's Lexington Fire Department that responds. Those would be considered townhouses that are with access roads that provide, doesn't front on a public street at all anywhere. And that's high density, and our fire department frequently visits those properties frequently for fire alarms. And I guess they generally are okay to access those properties to investigate and everything.
In a conversation earlier today with the city manager, fire chief, and fire marshal, they did not mention any issues with the third year housing that has apartments, I think, and townhouse style units, but they did have an issue with the sorority houses because of the narrow pavement width there. Even though I think it's marked for no parking, that doesn't get enforced. So they didn't have comments necessarily about third year, but sororities, yes. And there are lessons learned, I guess, is the point, between what the width of the pavement that was allowed in Kendall for the cottages, the width of private roadway that was allowed in Weatherburn, and whether parking can be or can't be allowed, and what the minimum width of pavement for the outriggers on the biggest vehicle. So fire department will be able to implement those standards in the site plan.
City manager.
Thank you. If I could just add a bit to what Mr. Glazer said, in terms of lessons learned, I think the key is, from the fire department perspective, involve them in the site plan review process. It's not so much a zoning question as much as it is a site plan review question. And I think the lesson that we heard today, Mr. Glazer and myself, is be sure that the practical and functional fire lane area is at least 20 feet, because that's what they need to put their outriggers out, not an inch less. So we appreciate any concern about fire safety. We share concerns about fire safety. We respectfully reach a different conclusion from the concern that's raised in the citizen comment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
John, did you have any?
Well, in response to Mr. Perry's letter, I did do some research, which I forwarded to the city manager and Arnie and Leslie. And I thank them for looking into it. There seems to be, within both the National Fire Safety Code, the Virginia Code, and Fairfax as a local example, some flexibility depending on whether or not for example, apartments are sprinklered or not. If they're sprinklered, then it can be, I think if I remember correctly, 150 feet from the primary road to the door. So one of my suggestions was just to, and also that the fire lane could, in some cases, the lanes can be as in Fairfax, I think, as narrow as 18 feet if, again, the units are sprinklered. importantly, as our city manager has just noted, in Fairfax, the fire chief and safety officers are involved in the site review process. So my open question is, do any of those requirements that are in city or state code, and we've seen examples in local codes, need to be either referenced or mentioned in our zoning amendment?
We do not believe that that is a requirement or should be included in the townhouse standards. That's an automatic. I mean, the building code, fire code, those are things that have to be implemented at the site plan review stage. So it's not, I'm not really seeing the value of having to put that in here in the zoning ordinance for townhouses specifically.
Okay, as long as it's covered, Arnie, that was my concern. Yeah.
Mr. Carroll.
And just to add a bit to Mr. Glazer's comments, we think with adding something that is a fire code requirement into a zoning code can create downstream problems if somehow one of those codes gets amended but not the other, then you have conflicting codes. So it is vital, as Mr. Driscoll points out, that we have that covered, but we wouldn't want to create the opportunity for those to become in conflict. So we advise that they would remain separate as they are now.
Great. Thank you all.
Would you remind us who will review a site plan, what that process is, and has that changed recently?
That has changed. It's now an administrative function. It's no longer legislative, so it would not be going to planning commission. And that's a state code change that was instituted or began in July of last year. So when I say administrative, we'll send it out when a complete application is submitted for a site plan for the review process. We send it out to the fire marshal, building official, police department, and public works.
Thank you.
So I attended the county meeting on Monday, and this subject came up about site planning and major projects and minor projects. I would presume that townhouses are major projects.
I haven't read their land development regulations. We do not have the major and minor site plan function. Some places do. We tried that once and it wasn't approved, where if the impact was less than 10,000 square feet, then it could be administrative. If it was over that, then that was not, that was proposed as a zoning text amendment, did not go forward. So I'm not sure how they're going to handle it, but I don't think, well, I shouldn't say what I know and don't know.
There was also mention that the planning commission could serve as an advisory committee for site planning as needed. I thought that was an interesting prospect, and I don't know if that's been investigated as a result of site planning now going to administrative instead of legislative. If that can be part of the process to satisfy any objections in regards of transparency.
I have to read the ordinance, but I would seriously doubt that was the intent when they pulled it back from legislative to being administrative only.
I would anticipate staff is liberated to seek opinions or guidance or support if they run afoul or have some issues, but trained professionals identifying and interpreting our zoning, I think was the intent of changing the process.
We had that discussion either in planning or here and came to the conclusion of no, if you do that, you're basically trying to go around the.
Well, and the state code treats it as a ministerial function where if it checks all the right boxes, it gets approved, and that's why they transitioned it to administrative approval. There might have been a role for a planning commission in the process under the code. I can check that and get back to you, but given the ministerial nature, most people are doing what Lexington.
Yeah, I think it was in regards to the minor project versus the major projects and the role that planning commission could or might play in those cases.
I don't think it can change the fundamental issue of it's ministerial by nature, and if it has to be approved, if it checks certain boxes, meet certain criteria.
Thank you, Arnie.
Thank you, Arnie.
It-
Frank, just to say thank you to the city manager and Arnie for checking into that issue that I raised. Appreciate it.
And certainly, and to affirm, the site plan part of the process is where that will be typically in
Yes.
where that is addressed specifically. Is there anyone, I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this topic? And the topic being Lexington zoning ordinance to delete the requirement for townhouses to front on or be accessed by a public street. Not seeing or hearing anyone that would like to speak to this, I'll close the public hearing at 7:20 and ask for council's discussion and thoughtful consideration.
Move to approve ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance to amend Article 11 of the Lexington zoning ordinance to delete the requirement for townhouses to front on or be accessed by a public street.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll,
Aye.
Ms. Strawn,
Aye.
Mr. Betts, Mr. Ziegler,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for bringing this forward and updating our zoning ordinance. Next item is consideration of minutes from our April 2 meeting. They are provided in your packet. Are there any objections to approving the minutes as presented? Hearing none, they are approved. Thank you, Kate. Next item is citizens' remarks and comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak to council this evening? No one has signed up, is the sign I get, but is there anyone got something on their mind, heart, soul? Not seeing anyone wanting to speak. I'll close the citizen remarks and comments at 7:21 and move into the consent agenda. It's there for your consideration.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call vote. Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mr. Betts. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries unanimously. I think prom starts at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Should be fun watching everyone all dolled up and strolling in at Evans Dining Hall. Not aware of any unfinished business, reports and communications. Airport feasibility study, Mr. Driscoll.
No meeting, no report.
Blue Ridge Resource Authority, Mr. Smith.
Blue Ridge Resource Authority recently adopted a resolution approving our fiscal year 27 budget and CIP. One item of note, Lexington's contribution will go up. The number escapes me now. $37,000 as a result of probably a likely demo of the corner of Lee and Washington to make room for the new founders home. But no tipping fee increases, no red flags. We're steady she goes.
Very good. Also noteworthy, I think it may have been at the prior meeting that the Blue Ridge Resource Authority approved for a city contractor dumping to dump at the municipal rate as opposed to the commercial rate. So we were grateful for our peers on the Blue Ridge Resource Authority for approving that since it was a city project. Main Street Lexington, Mr. Smith.
We got Jeremy Franklin, our director, was down in Tulsa for National Main Street meeting. As a result, my report is a little janky. We got sidewalk sale coming up next weekend. We have the April 30th business hours celebration and dedication of new courthouse square. If you haven't had a chance to go down and check it out, the transformation within just the last week has been quite something. It is in my opinion much more welcoming and open and airy and a better fitted space for the crosshairs of the central business district. Main Street did receive from Virginia Main Street our 2026 accreditation. And as a National Main Street community, and Juneteenth that was originally planned to be held in Courthouse Square has been moved back to Richardson Park just due to time constraints and trying to make it happen as successfully as it should be. Lex Line Dance has been moved to September 19th. The board feels that'll be a better time for participation and a successful event. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Smith?
What time is the event at Courthouse Square?
It starts at 5. The dedication will be at 6. And it sounds like, well, yeah, that's.
And is there a location yet for the line dancing?
I haven't heard. We got a while.
Mark your calendars. Planning Commission, Ms. Strawn.
Sure. Planning Commission met last Thursday, and the issue with the landscaping design for Founder's Hall was resolved, and the last part of the COA for that project was approved. And then Planning Commission began discussion on a PUD zoning text amendment. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Third time's a charm, right?
Yes.
Very good. Regional Tourism Board, Mr. Betts. Raro, Mr. Ziegler.
No report.
Threshold, Miss Alexander.
No report.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, I have not much of a report, as it were. We are rapidly approaching the month of May, and I had solicited Mr. Ziegler to lead us in the city manager's evaluation, and he has agreed to do so. So we will commence to working on that in the coming weeks and use the same form that we've utilized in the past that we're all acquainted with. And echo or just remind everybody, Mr. Smith's the date of April 30th, 5 to 7, the business after hours should be a great and fun time. And with that, I'll turn over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of items to report. Thank you to everybody who has been patient with us during our road resurfacing work that recommenced in the spring, particularly regarding our downtown parking lots and other parking lots around town. We think the work is mostly complete, except for perhaps some line striping to be done at the Fireman's Lot in downtown. We do anticipate having an additional request, an appropriation request before you for your meeting on May 7th. Patrick Madigan has worked out an arrangement with Columbia Gas to receive $175,000 of funding from them to help us pave all the roads, Turner, Moore, Taylor, Varner, Preston, that have been subjected to the gas main replacement. So that is going to be an additional appropriation that we'll bring before you at your next meeting. And then secondly, I just wanted to signpost that we are contemplating and likely to cancel the May 21st City Council meeting. That is a high school graduation at Rockbridge County High School. So we're trying to amend our work plan to make sure that anything that would be before you that night gets addressed either on May 7th or the first meeting in June. That would include the public hearing that we had scheduled for May 21st for the FY27 budget. We're going to plan to have that on your next meeting in May 7th. Happy to answer any questions you have.
So it's definitely canceled, or still working on it?
I think it's
Pretty much.
definitely canceled,
Okay.
but I don't think anyone's made the official call.
Thank you.
Tom, the $175,000 to assist with paving, will we put any additional funds toward that? And do you have a general ballpark idea of what that would entail? Just rough.
Yes. The pavement in that area that's been disrupted is approximately $275,000. Columbia Gas is paying $175,000. I don't know at this point whether council will need to appropriate additional funds from our FY 26 fund balance, or if we can cover it with the remainder of our FY 26 appropriation that you previously approved. We should know that by May 7th.
That's fine. That's helpful to know. Thank you.
Any other questions for the city manager?
One more question. A couple of us have been hearing about the golf course and runoff, and I know that the weather has improved some and we haven't had some catastrophic storms like that we had, but some of us met with citizens and we've relayed feedback with you, and you've shared with us some information about what the city has learned and what some employees have done. And do you mind sharing that in this forum?
Sure. So I don't remember the specific dates, but in the last month or two, we had a meeting in these county chambers with the county, with the construction company, with some regulators, and had a very productive meeting, and some significant steps have been made by the partnership as well as the partnership's contractor to put in a better erosion and sediment control. So we are allowed to inspect it, even though most of the golf course property is outside the city of Lexington. We asked for the ability to have Steve Polk, who's our erosion and sediment control regulator, to go out and inspect it twice a week. He goes out every Tuesday and Thursday and sends me and Mr. Glazer a report about what he's observed. And it's one of those things where the grass that they planted is taking hold, but we haven't had as wet of a spring as we might have anticipated. So that has allowed time for erosion and sediment control measures to take place. They've made some extraordinary efforts and plan to make some additional investment to make sure that repeats of what happened in December, January, and I think early February are not repeated. So from my perspective, I feel like the golf course has made significant steps to reduce the frequency or the probability of an unauthorized discharge.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, sir. John, if you're trying to speak, you're on mute.
Thank you. The reason I was on mute is that Wally was barking. David, thank you for asking that question. Tom, you had mentioned to us in a communication the monitoring for turbidity levels or sediment. Is that a regular occurrence, and is it something that is available to the public, and who undertakes it?
So it is something that is being done with some frequency, and I apologize, and I can get back to you on that. I don't know what the frequency is of the turbidity test. A turbidity test would measure how much sediment is within the water, how much is dissolved into it, and you want it to be below a certain standard. And the tests that I have seen have been below the recommended discharge standards. So they have been meeting the requirements. I do not know if they are available to the public. I wouldn't think there's any way for the public to know them. But the turbidity tests are being conducted by a third party, independent, and they're being conducted at the expense of the contractor or the golf course partnership. So we have received at least one, perhaps two reports about the turbidity. There wouldn't be any reason to measure on a clear day where there's no discharge.
No, it's just after the rain. Yeah.
After the rain. So, and there is a above stream and downstream test that is done when they're doing the testing so that they can see background conditions that are above the disturbance of the golf course, upstream of the disturbance of the golf course, so they can see what contribution the golf course work is having to the turbidity downstream, and do the math and science behind that.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions for the city manager? Hearing none, for those keeping score, when Tom was talking about the firehouse parking lot, you might wonder where that is. It's where the firehouse used to be probably 25 or 30 years ago, across the street from Salerno's. So that, in fact, is the firehouse parking lot. And it does look great. The difference between this morning and this afternoon is substantial. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple items I've been working on over the last couple of weeks. The Moores Creek Agreement, working with the county attorney on that. I know that's something we'll talk about later this evening. Of course, I'm happy to answer any questions on that now or then. And at Mr. Carroll's request, I did take a look into some issues associated with city council appointees and oaths and finishing up that research. And then I'll get with Kate and Tom and make sure there are no issues there. As of now, we don't foresee any, or we don't see any issues. So
Very good.
happy to answer any questions on any of those or anything else.
Thank you for looking into that. Members of council have any questions for City Attorney? I missed one thing under my report, so I'm going to go back a little bit, but it's been brought up a couple of times by council members to look at the city council compensation. And there's a process for doing that. The city attorney would certainly work with the city manager. And in discussions with the city manager, he asked that we have a motion, if it's your pleasure, a motion and a vote to direct him to review and recommend city council compensation in going into the future. Because I don't think, David, you've got a good handle on this usually. When was the last time city council's compensation was increased or
No,
established?
It's longer than 25 years.
Right.
Yeah. it's-
And there's probably been there's definitely been some minimum wage raises since then. So I think that's important to. factor in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it hasn't been changed in 25 to 30 years that we know of. So if it's your pleasure to have the city manager explore this and make a recommendation, I'd welcome that.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second?
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, ask for a roll call vote. Mr. Betts,
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler,
Aye.
Ms. Strawn,
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll,
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all very much, and we'll
Just say something.
Yeah.
You went pretty quick through the discussion. The only thing I was going to point out is having this group has talked about this before. We're not doing it for ourselves. The intent is that it will encourage more people to run.
correct and just reflect the modest compensation for the position. And it
Well, I was just gonna say, and it is a lengthy process, so it doesn't happen overnight.
correct. So this would not go in effect until some of us maybe aren't serving anymore. So certainly not until election. So
Yeah, certainly not until next July at the earliest.
Yeah. And just in the interest of full transparency, it was after, a long time ago. I know I was elected a long time ago. It was after the election that I found out that we were compensated, but in interest of full transparency, council members receive $3,600 a year. That's about $300 a month. And the mayor receives $4,800 a year, $400 a month. So just in the interest of transparency, that's what we're discussing. Because if this moves forward as a topic, it's going to be public, and there's nothing to hide about that. But I just want to share that information. No one's up here doing it for that compensation, but it does deserve to be looked at, I guess. Can't hurt to look at.
And there may be, there probably will be at least one open seat on city council this next time. So I think it's important that folks, maybe if they need a little extra encouragement to think about it, or they need that funding to kind of open it up to a wider swath of people, maybe to be able to serve on city council.
certainly. Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you for your indulgence, and let me go backwards there for a moment. We won't have another city manager or city attorney report, and we'll go straight into new business, Moores Creek decommissioning agreement. And I'll call on somebody at the seat. City manager?
Thank you, Mayor. It's probably better that Mr. Carroll address this issue than me, but there are many people that I appreciate their hard work on this, including our counterparts at the county. Before you is a compensation agreement that would settle all matters regarding the city's desire to decommission the Morse Creek Dam. As you know, we face two options on what to do with the dam. It has developed a sinkhole in December of 2024, and the options were each about $3 million to either repair the dam or to decommission the dam. And so in your FY27 draft budget, we have budgeted $3 million to do one of those two things. It's very expensive. And the dam was created in 1912 or 14, I think, 1912. And it used to be a primary water source supply, but hasn't since the 1970s. And the Morse Creek Dam is an emergency water backup supply, even though it's not connected to our water system. And this is contemplated in our 1986 revenue sharing agreements and annexation agreements. It's contemplated in our joint services agreement, which is part of that as an emergency backup supply. So we've reached an agreement with the county that all the details are spelled out in the contract. In the agreement that Mr. Carroll has worked so carefully on with the county. The county will have this before them at their April 27th meeting, and the Rockbridge County Public Service Authority will have this before them at a future meeting date. So I'm very pleased to bring this forward. I think it's a lot of great staff work. It will resolve a long-term liability for our community and do so in a way that's fair to our partners. Happy to answer any questions or let Mr. Carroll add anything.
I really don't have much to add. There were some uncertainties as to the rights and obligations of the county, the city, and the PSA associated with the dam. And we got in a room and we worked through those, and we've resolved with this agreement, I think, all of those issues. And so it is a good resolution that I think serves the public's interest and certainly the city's interest.
Very good. Members of council have any questions?
I just have a comment. I think that this is good because it also, in addition to potentially utilizing better resources better and not putting money towards fixes that may not hold up in the future, or you throwing money at a problem, it's also a safety measure. And this will help our neighbors be safer as well by decommissioning the dam.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you to everyone who worked on this, because I think the resolution is very good and it's good for our whole community. On the section on the protection of landowners along the water system, I appreciate looking out for the homeowners, and you note that there's no known legal obligations to allow the homeowners to access water rights. And is that based on conversations with the current homeowners plus looking at existing documents, or?
Reviewing the easement records that we've been
Okay.
able to get our hands on.
Okay,
So-
great.
And that's why we characterize it a little bit there with no known. And if we do find something in the future, then if that obligation falls to the city or the county, then that entity will be responsible for living up to that obligation. But as of now, we are not aware of any.
Great.
In the end, I think the critical factor of this agreement is eliminating that liability and threat to health and safety of those downstream from that body of water. And I'm glad we could
I think it's fair
come to terms about that.
one of the things that was discussed fairly routinely in this process was how the state seems to be moving away from these whenever they can and trying to decommission these. So it's certainly, again, back to the public interest, it's something that DCR has been advocating as well.
Other questions or comments?
One comment, I'd like to thank our city manager for navigating and also educating us and the public with his well-written documentation and taking us through a process where we come to a very solid and logical conclusion on what to do, as has been mentioned by other council members. So thank you to our city manager and the staff. And of course, this is an incredible document when I read it. So my thanks to the city attorney also.
Is that in the form of a motion, John?
No,
No?
Would you like it as a motion?
If you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I'll move that the Lexington City Council approve the agreement regarding decommissioning of Moores Creek Dam and release of emergency water supply rights and obligations in substantially the same form as presented at tonight's meeting, with such additions, deletions, and modification as the city manager and city attorney may make and at their discretion, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement in its final form and deliver it to Rockbridge County and the Rockbridge County Public Service Authority.
Second.
And I'll make a comment that it was July 2017 that we received a presentation in person from Mr. Van Leer from DCR at Waddell Elementary School during a city council meeting, where he was, if you recall, he was incredibly candid in talking about what could happen in the event that this dam would fail. And he expressed in no uncertain terms the importance of it, quite honestly, being removed for the long-term safety of the people downstream. So here we are almost 10 years later, trying to get to that point where Mr. Van Leer shared that with us in 2017. So.
Good. Other comments? Hearing none, would ask for a roll call vote as it's been properly motioned and second. And with roll call vote, Mr. Driscoll,
Aye.
Ms. Strawn, Mr. Betts, Mr. Ziegler,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries unanimously, and excited for the consideration by Rockbridge County and Rockbridge County Public Service Authority. It's amazing what you can do when neighbors work together. So congratulations. Next item is Jackson Avenue Phase 1A bid results.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is just for your information only. I think it's good news that we received 2 bids for this project. We anticipate the project getting started sometime over the summer. This is the first of several water and sewer projects in the Jackson Avenue area. And the bid results came in well below the budgeted estimate for the work. And so even after we provide for some project contingency and some project management, we should have funds left available. As a reminder, the funds that we have appropriated for this, that you have appropriated for this, are bond proceeds. And so the remaining, whatever's remaining from those bond proceeds are restricted for other public purposes. And rest assured, we have a number of other ways in which we can invest those dollars. But Ms. Bell will keep us true north on this and make sure that we're doing so properly in compliance with our bond commitments. But this is very good news. You don't have to approve this because the funds are budgeted and appropriated, and this is below. I will remind you that at your May 7th meeting, we're going to bring forward the Diamond Street stormwater results, which were a little bit more than the budgeted amount. And so we're going to take some of the bond proceeds and invest that in here. And that will be before you as a resolution to approve. And so that's the reason for this memorandum. Happy to answer any questions.
Members of the council have any questions for the city manager on this item? Again, it's just for your information. More work in progress. Very good. Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is closed meeting. And before Ms. Alexander reads us in, thank you one and all for being with us tonight. Remember, April 24th, Boots Park. Good time will be had by all, 9 to 11. Not until you're finished. 9 until 11. Good. We'll be partying for 2 hours. But again, thank you all for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you soon. I do not anticipate that we will be taking any action other than adjournment when we do come out of closed session. Thank you. Ms. Alexander.
I move that Lexington City Council convene in closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A3 for the purpose of discussing the disposition of city-owned real property along Spotswood Drive for a public purpose where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the city's bargaining position or negotiating strategy.
Second.
Thank you for your second. Roll call vote, Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Sigler.
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Mr. Betts. Mayor Friedman.
Sorry, price tag.
You asked my opinion on something about it.
Yeah, that helps. I'll be gone, I don't think. Somebody else's problem.
It's a bad attitude. God, Melissa,